Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sani Kosasi with our college Untung Raharja, Idewa Ayu Eka Yuliani, Roberto Slaipaka, Budi Susilo, and Herlina Kikin. Today, I'll present our research with the topic IT governance, performance assessment of maturity level of rural banking industry. In the introduction section, infrastructure resources and application portfolio of IT services have been optimally used in the rural banking industry. In addition, work units are able to be partially managed. Furthermore, there has been no performance assessment on the contribution of IT governance to ensure the alignment of businesses and IT strategies. Numerous obstacles include poor IT infrastructure, low digital literacy of financial technology, poor data security, unclear standardization and regulation of implementing the cloud computing, limited skill and knowledge of system and mechanism of managing IT services, limited budget and lower manager commitment. Additionally, IT management and investment tend to be partial and are only for units needing them. Problems of this research were formulated with point A, to what extent were the gaps of performance values of maturity level of IT governance through application portfolio of IT services with emphasis on domain of EDM and DSS. And point B, values of managerial implication regarding the use of this portfolio. And furthermore, point C, what were the recommendation for the relevance of corrective action to overcome non-conformity and gaps in having improved IT governance. This research aims to determine the extent of capabilities of aforementioned portfolio through the application of management structure and IT processes, especially in terms of EDM and DSS in improving the information services and financial transaction for all rural banking, or we call PPR customer. This research was informed of the survey and a mixed method referring to a convergent triangulation model through an explanatory design and follow-up mechanism. The respondents were 98 leaders and managers of PPR. Only 82 of them, however, gave complete the answer or submit them with the response rate 83.67%. To assess the performance of the maturity level of each processes of IT service capabilities, the COVID-5 approach was used. Regarding the table 3 with the title maturity level of EDM domain, all maturity value of EDM fail to reach level 4 because they still indicate significant differences of value. They are reflected regulation and maintenance of BPR with procedure currently managed and implemented and capabilities to carry out process commitment. When the financial transaction with called plan, monitored, and constantly adjusted. In terms of EDM, the highest and lowest gap values were respectively represented by EDM4 with a value 0.878 and EDM2 with the value 0.667. And for DSS, nevertheless, the highest and the lowest gap were the processes by the DSS4 with the value 0.551 and DSS6 with the value 0.101. Therefore, all of these processes unsuccessfully reached an expected maturity level and were still at level 3, we call it established process. Average fund in accordance with their capabilities and maturity values obtained were respectively 3.17 and 3.77 established process. Resource management principles should also be applied to enable the allocation of PPR resources. Following this, various IT resources should be provided for each employee in order to implement procedure based on the scope of business function units. Also, it was necessary to monitor goals and metric system of resource management of IT application. It was requested by the regularly review continuity capabilities of the management to a certain sustainability of IT governance in terms of application support and aligned adequacy and effectiveness. Concerning the recommendation of reducing the gap with the highest to the lowest values of EDM domain, start with EDM4, EDM3, EDM1, EDM5, and last EDM2. First-time examination and assessment of current and upcoming needs for resources linked to IT services, choice of resources strategies, and principles of allocation and management in meeting banking needs, especially in the context of BPL, should be optimally conducted. On the other hand, regarding the recommendation of reducing the gaps with the highest to the lowest values of DSS domain, start with DSS4, DSS1, DSS5, DSS3, DSS2, and last DSS6, setting the policies and scopes of business continuity which were in line with the objective of banks and stakeholders should be conducted. The novelty and contribution of this research is to build, map, and align all IT and management processes based on the performance value of the maturity level of IT governance. This research was limited in terms of needs and importance of IT governance and assessment of performance to maturity levels of rural banking industry in West Kalimantan. This limitation became an obstacle to generalize research findings of implementing IT governance to other provinces due to environment differences. The result of this study have an important contribution to rural banking management, which has massively utilized IT services to accelerate and optimize the process of providing product and services for its customer. This research can be continued by emphasizing the relationship among domains of EPO, BAI, and MEA to obtain the key performance indicator or KPI and key goal indicator or we call KGI. Thank you. That's all my presentation. Good afternoon.